Disney princesses are the most beautiful, kind, and sweet women we know. But it is hard to believe that they didn't even try to be a little wild when they were teenagers. This is why 3 artists reimagined what they would look like in the modern world. Make sure you watch this video until the end to see what Pocahontas has been up to. If you love Disney princesses as much as we do, don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a big thumbs up. Today we're showing you 10 Disney princesses reimagined as modern-day bad girls. Ariel. The Little Mermaid has always been a little rebel. When she lived under the sea, she used to be fascinated by the world of humans. She collected things that used to belong to them and loved to visit a shipwreck with her friend Flounder. Ariel even dared to go to the surface of the ocean to meet her friend Scuttle, a seagull who didn't really know the human culture. But Ariel had to keep that passion secret from the other mermaids in the kingdom of Atlantica. Her father, King Triton, had said previously that the contact between merpeople and humans was forbidden. That didn't keep the Little Mermaid from realizing her dreams and becoming a human to meet the love of her life. Her father would probably never approve that she exchanged her voice for legs, but Ariel did it anyway. She is the kind of girl who doesn't listen to anyone when she knows what she wants. And it seems like, now that she is a full-time human, Ariel found another passion, as Nata Street Art reimagined her. She now wants to be part of a new world, a world of basketball players, and thinks she will know everything about them by playing this video game. She looks so cool that we think these athletes won't mind talking to her. But if she wants to be part of their world, she will have to prove that she can really use her new pair of legs. Belle. This young lady was such a nice and smart girl that we would never see her breaking the rules. Yes, she was a little bit strange, but in the best way. Villagers were surprised to see a young woman reading books when most people didn't even know the alphabet at that time. But Belle didn't even care because she thought that fiction was more interesting than reality. However, there was one time she didn't listen to her father, and this is the only time he wished she did. When Maurice was thrown behind bars, Belle decided to rescue him. She finally found him in Beast's castle and asked if she could take his place. Her father absolutely didn't want her to do that, but she forced him to accept. And this is how the young woman was trapped in the castle of the monster. Everyone was happy in the end, and Belle even chose to stay in the castle with her prince. But what if she had really been a bad girl instead of being a hero? When you see how Nata Street Art reimagined her, you know that it is impossible for anyone to think that this girl is strange. She is cooler than ever. Maybe this is what happens when you marry a handsome, rich man in the 21st century. Tiana. This young lady didn't have time to break the rules in any way. Since she was a child, she dreamed of opening a restaurant with her father. And when he passed away, it wasn't time for her to do all the things she ever wanted to do. Instead, she wanted to make him proud and work hard to start her own business. This is why, instead of partying, Tiana was working as a waitress in a restaurant. She barely had time to fully enjoy life, but she thought that she would be doing this later. Then one day, a frog offered her all the money she needed to make her dream come true. Tiana finally accepted to kiss that random boy, and she immediately regretted it. That crazy adventure ended up being one of the best things that ever happened in her life. But we think that what she likes most is having the chance to work hard again in her restaurant. However, if the princess doesn't have time to act like a bad girl, she at least has time to look like a bad girl, as she was reimagined on Disney Hardcore. With her black dress, her cool piercings, and all the tattoos, she doesn't look like a princess like any other. With Naveen's playful personality, we think that they will make the perfect couple. Elsa. The princess had always been different, but she thought that it was a bad thing. Elsa was embracing her powers as a kid, but after hurting her little sister, she thought that it was better to stay away from others. This is why, instead of being true to who she is, she decided to lock herself in her room. Anna was probably the most disappointed to have lost her sister during all these years. But all kids have to rebel at some point in their lives, and Elsa did it a little too late. After being crowned queen, her sister made her a little angry, and this is when she revealed her power to everyone. Not able to face this situation, Elsa simply ran away, leaving her responsibilities behind and giving herself the chance to do whatever she wants. Elsa finally came back to Arendelle to save everyone. But everything would have been way less complicated if it happened during her teenage years when her parents were there to help her. But what would she look like at that time if she had the chance to do anything she wants? When you see how this artist reimagined her on Disney Hardcore, you can easily understand that Elsa needed to let go of a lot of things. She doesn't look like a nice girl anymore, and we love to see that she finally dares to be herself. Jasmine. She was probably one of the luckiest princesses on our list, but that doesn't mean that she was happy. Jasmine had everything she ever wanted in her palace except one thing: freedom. And it just became worse when she understood that she would soon be forced to marry someone, even if she hadn't found the love of her life yet. This is why she decided to leave everything behind and escape her palace. It wasn't the best decision, as she didn't know anything about the outside world. But she was lucky to be saved by Aladdin, who always does his best to help the people in need. And he also gave her what she needed the most, the freedom to fly away on a magic carpet and discover a whole new world. Jasmine finally broke the rules a little to marry a thief, and this is how they lived happily ever after. But what if Jasmine decided to be a bad girl even though she has to stay in the palace? Here's how Nada Street Art reimagined her. Her father probably isn't happy to see that his daughter is smoking and wearing a really provocative outfit. But at least she's at home, and that's all that matters. Will Aladdin be even more intimidated by her new look? Only the future will tell what will happen between these two. Snow White. As the youngest Disney princess, Snow White was barely a teenager when her life changed forever. She could have been a spoiled kid being born in a royal family. When her parents passed away, her evil stepmother decided that this child shouldn't be so lucky after all. This is why she decided to dress her in rags and force her to work as a servant. Cleaning the floors and washing the dishes every day, the best thing she could ever do was dreaming. But things changed when the evil queen decided to get rid of her, and Snow White had to run away in the forest. While she lived with the 7 dwarfs, the only rule she ever broke was trusting a stranger who gave her an apple. And it ended up being one of the worst mistakes she ever made, because she passed away before being saved by a prince. But what if she were a little luckier when she decided to be a bad girl? Let's take a look at how Nada Street Art reimagined her. Snow White is still the fairest of them all, but this time, she clearly knows it. This is why she keeps taking selfies in her bedroom. We think that her parents might still be alive in the modern world because we can't imagine her stepmother giving her an iPhone, even though she will probably give her another Apple product, a poisoned one. Cinderella. When you work as a servant, you don't have a lot of time to rebel. That didn't keep Cinderella from trying to go to the ball. Her friends the mice made her a dress, and she was ready to party. Unfortunately, her evil stepsisters and stepmother quickly made sure that she couldn't even be dreaming anymore. Her fairy godmother saw that it was unfair, and this is why she decided to give the young woman everything she needed to go to the ball and meet the love of her life. Cinderella was a teenager like any other, after all. She ran away from her home without asking her mother's permission and decided to party all night with a boy. However, there is one rule that shouldn't be broken, and it's not just coming back home after midnight. It's talking to strangers. If they had known each other's names, they wouldn't be strangers anymore, and it would have been way easier to find each other. But would Prince Charming recognize Cinderella with her new look as reimagined by Ashi Monster? With her pink hair, piercing, and choker necklace, she finally has the chance to look like the bad girl she always wanted to be. It's no surprise that the prince had to make her try on a shoe to see if it fits. The size of her foot is the only thing that didn't change. Rapunzel. Trapped in a tower for almost 18 years, it's no surprise that Rapunzel would like to become a bad girl. But during all her teenage years, she had always been Mommy's little girl. Rapunzel woke up at 7 a.m. to clean her room, she loved reading, and she always baked some cookies. That's the kind of daughter that most parents want. But most importantly, she never cut her long blonde hair to make sure that her mother could use its magic power to stay young forever. We can't blame the princess for being too nice and always obeying her rules. The only reason why she didn't escape was that her mother lied to her about the outside world. But as soon as she got a chance to be free and jumped out of the window, she never looked back. Being a bad girl was the best thing to do, after all. Now, let's see what Rapunzel would look like if she was not a nice girl anymore, as reimagined on Disney Hardcore. Instead of painting her walls, her body is covered with tattoos. She also dyed her hair white, which probably took days and was really expensive. We bet that this modern-day Rapunzel still lives with her parents because Mother Gothel would never let her do that to her magical hair. Pocahontas. This young Native American was lucky to have all the freedom that she wanted when she was a teenager. At any time of the day, she could just walk away into the forest and discover the beauty of nature with her friends Miko and Flit. Unfortunately, growing up means more responsibilities, and Pocahontas feared to have to marry Kocoum, a brave warrior who was too serious for her free-spirited personality. It's also at that time that the English came to America, and the young woman couldn't keep herself from breaking the rules. Curious to learn more about the world of these white men, she met John Smith, and they quickly became friends. This relationship is what saved everyone at the end, but the two lovers were finally separated, and it's better this way. So we have seen a young Pocahontas who grew up in nature, but what if she was born at the beginning of the 21st century? We don't recognize this Native American girl anymore, now that we see how Nada Street Art reimagined her. She is living in a big city and loves Starbucks and macarons. And when it comes to exploring the world, all she needs is to turn to her computer. We bet that Pocahontas is talking to cute boys all around the world online. It's always great to discover different cultures. Moana. This young woman always wanted to break the rules since she was a child. She was fascinated by the sea, but unfortunately, her parents wouldn't let her go anywhere near water. That didn't stop Moana from one day going on a big adventure. It wasn't easy the first time, and we thought that we would never see her on a boat again. But Moana didn't give up. She found out that she was the chosen one and knew that she was the only one who could save her tribe. It wasn't only about reuniting a mystical relic with a goddess, but also finding out who she truly was. Moana almost gave up, begging the ocean to take the heart and choose someone else. But she finally understood that there was a reason why she was chosen, and she was finally the one who saved everyone, with the help of demigod Maui. Being a teenager is another big challenge, and some young women face it by being a bad girl. That's the case for this modern-day Moana, as Nata Street Art reimagined her. This time, her parents won't stop her from going to the beach, but from wearing something that might be a little too mature for her age. If you could choose one princess who could be a part of a remake in the 21st century, who would it be? Don't be shy to tell us what you think in the comments section down below. And that's it for 10 Disney princesses reimagined as modern-day bad girls. For more stories like this, make sure you watch 10 Disney movies reimagined in the modern day. Thanks for watching.